Okay, I know I've taken a long time. We've been here a long time. I'll just take a few questions and then we'll be done with it. Does anybody have a question? Wow, warm out. Warm out.
When do you have queens available?
We will have our own queens available in May, and I'm about ready to give Marilyn some dates that she can start booking. We're not going to produce a lot of queens for sale because it really kind of gets in our way. We just did do our first graft day before yesterday and had very good success, first graft of the year. And yes, I did wait for the purple eye stage of the broods before we did it. We were going to do it a week earlier and I kicked it back a week because really the drones weren't ready. And we used we'll do this once a week for about 3 months where we graft cells, and this week we grafted 225, I shouldn't say we, Jesse did it. Jesse's a superb grafter. He grafted 225 cells and there was only 5 failures out of 225. That's a pretty good number. That's a good number. So that's a good number to have. So yes, ma'am.
Today when I was in my bees, there's always the drone with the purple eyes. They always gob that along the bottom of the frames, which just messes up the frame. Anyway, I scrape a lot of those off. Is that wrong?
Well, depends, because they're just going to do it again. I mean, that's the honest truth. You can scrape it off if you don't like it, and if they'll just say, we're going to do this again. Right now, they are tremendously motivated to reproduce. And they're going to make drones somewhere, somehow. If it's a big, strong, really strong colony, they are going to figure out a place to put some drone brood. And you can carve it off if you want to, but I'm not trying to pick on you, but I'm just curious, why are you scraping it off?
It's just gobs.
It looks unsightly.
Well, I thought I was supposed to.
That's a good reason. Looks bad. Yeah. Yeah, let them have it. Let them do it.
Okay.
As long as it's not screwing anything up, just let them do it. We got it too. It's up. You know, if you don't give them a place to do it, they build them against the wall, under the near the bottom board, over the lid. Crazy. Yeah, we just let them do it. We let the bees be bees if we can. Now, this idea of having drone brood in your colony there's mixed ideas on this. Tom Seeley, several years. Probably most of you know who Tom Seeley is. Very famous entomologist in Cornell. He did a study that showed that colonies where they kept stripping all the drones out, 0 drones, actually made a little bit more honey. But other research has shown that the bees are just more happy if they're allowed to do what they want to do. So there's 2 points of view on this subject. I just let the bees do what they want to do when it comes to drones. Yeah, for you brand new beekeepers, the rumor that drones are worthless is pretty much true. They kick the males out when they don't need them anymore, and they rear a new crop in the spring. So that's true. It's kind of scary, but yeah, it's true. Yes, sir.
What type of honeybee do you like? Do you like Russian, Italian?
What kind of honeybee do I like? First, I should say something that I always try to remember but I've forgotten this time. And that is, if you ask 3 beekeepers a question, you're going to get 4 answers. And I'm going to give you my answer, which is not probably the same as most of the people in the room. Just got to be aware of that. There's 3 major races, or I guess races is the right term, of bees in this country. People will tell you that the Russian bee is a race, and it is not. It is a carniolan bee that evolved in Russia. They moved carniolans into Russia back in the 1920s or something like that. So the Russians are a carniolan bee. With that in mind, we've got Russians. We've got carniolans, Caucasians, and Italians. The Italians are the most popular, and for good reason. The queens are really easy to find. The bees are beautiful. They're good producers. But you have to keep in mind that the traits of all of these bees are there because of where they evolved. The Italians evolved in warm climate where perhaps there was a nectar pollen flow most of the year. The carniolans, Slovenia, Austria, where it's really cold and they got to shut down on time or starve to death in the winter. The Caucasians are from the Republic of Georgia, the Russian border with the Republic of Georgia and North Turkey, and so they have their traits for a reason. All of that I'm building up to what I like. I like the Caucasians because I like We have Caucasians with some Carniolan. I can't keep the Italian out because we got other bees around us that we're mating with. But the Caucasian with some of Carniolans, they shut down in the winter, and they overwinter with some pretty small clusters. In some cases, alarmingly small. And you're thinking, are these things going to make it through the winter? And guess what they're doing right now? They're building swarm cells just like the Italians because they caught up. They do that. And but they overwinter very small cluster, and they can overwinter on a third of the honey that an Italian colony can. The only thing wrong with them, if you're going to make early nukes and early packages or go to California and pollinate, you're not going to have a big enough colony in February or January. If you want to have lots of bees early, then that's where the Italian comes in. If you just want to make it through the winter without feeding 200 pounds of sugar, I'm being dramatic, but that's kind of the way it feels sometimes, then that's what the Italians do. Italians will rear brood when they got no business rearing brood. There's no, the Caucasians and the Carniolans work from the stimulus of fresh incoming pollen more than the Italians. The Italians will rear brood because the sun's shining. And in fact, if you think about Carniolans, where they come from, it could snow on the 4th of July. They've got to have this ability to shut down. They keep their brood nests concise. You don't see brood all over the 2-story colony. It's all in one thing that they can keep warm in the middle of 4th of July, So completely different traits. And in the old days when I was pollinating and traveling, and it was a whole different story. But now I want these dark bees that are more frugal. They do build up early enough for me to make the splits that I need to make because I'm not making a couple thousand anymore. So I like this is a long answer to a simple question. I prefer the Caucasian bees for one reason: they are really gentle. If you watch our videos, you see I don't even know where my gloves are. I haven't put them on in a while. The last time I put my gloves on was 4 years ago when I was loading a semi-truck. I don't wear gloves, and I don't have to because I have Caucasian bees. Now, yes, you can get very gentle Italians, and of course the Carniolans are very gentle too, but these Caucasians, there's something different about them. I really, really like them. And I guess it's like, do you like Chevrolets or like Fords? There's a little of that going on too. So, any other questions? Yes, sir.
Any advice on laying workers?
Pardon me?
On laying workers?
How do I deal with laying workers? Well, there's several ways. You can shake them out on the ground and let them disperse into the colonies nearby. Quite often and if they've gone to the point where they actually have really screwed up brood, we just take a frame or two and disperse it among some strong colonies. We'll just spread those frames out amongst other colonies. If it's not super strong, we might just stack the whole box on a strong colony. They will handle that situation. That'll be cleaned up in short order. So laying workers, I know he's looking. I'm about to get the hook here, y'all. So I'll take one question and then we'll be done. Does anybody have a question? All right.
Said he'd take one more ask.
That's all right.
I just have a comment. We called your store this week, and your front end was fabulous. So thank you.
Good. I'm glad. I'll tell them.
Yeah.
Occasionally, just like any store or business, we do have hiccups and people get upset. And a guy came from Texas, for instance, and bought 8 nukes last Saturday and took them home. Huh?
Because you're famous.
I saw you at Nobby.
Probably. But anyway, he bought 8 nukes and hauled them all the way to southern Texas and emailed me and said one of them was screwed up, and I'm thinking, okay, how do I handle this, I mean, I want to be nice. I don't want to hurt his feelings, but part of me is like going, you just had them closed up for a day and a half in the back of a truck to Texas. Yeah, I'm thinking one of them might be screwed up. But I didn't do that. I asked him a diplomatic question. I said, well, how many frames of brood were compromised? And he's wanting some compensation for this problem, and I'll do something. We really do actually try to keep people happy, and unless they're just being completely crazy, then we just tell them to get lost. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Rob.